This is the only CFP study strategy you will ever need, and it has nothing to do with studying more hours. In fact, it's the opposite. It has everything to do with how you study for this exam as opposed to how much you study for this exam. Now, in my experience, most CFP students don't fail this test because they don't put enough time and effort into it. Most people fail this test because they have the absolute wrong study strategy, where you're putting time and effort and money into the wrong things, and then you're very burnt out and frustrated on exam day. If you're somebody that is taking the exam this year and you want to make your next attempt your last, strap in, because in this video, I'm going to show you where these study strategies go wrong. But more importantly, I'm going to give you the study strategy that I've used with my students to help them get across the finish line on exam day. What's up, everybody? My name is 𝗘𝗫𝗔𝗬𝗟𝗏, and I am a CFP exam instructor. And I have been teaching the CFP exam for the last 7 years and roughly 21 exam cycles. And there is something critically wrong that I notice with most CFP students when I sit down and meet them and we begin working together. And the craziest thing about these CFP students is when I put really hard questions in front of them, they are pros. They're able to mix these things together, figure it out, and get it right. And then when I put more of the easier or medium topics, they're scratching their head and going, I don't know, I didn't really review this. And they're sitting there easily confused, and I can push them in any direction that I want to. And this is where most CFP study strategies fail you, is you end up getting really, really good at hard stuff, but you don't see it that much on the exam. And then all the stuff that you do end up seeing on the exam, you either understudied, didn't see it very often, didn't get enough repetition. And then you're sitting there on exam day going, but I felt so good on some of that hard stuff and I didn't see it. And I worked on that so much and I'm just really frustrated right now. So if that's you and that's how you're feeling, then the first thing that we got to do is we got to change your entire approach to this exam. And the way that I want you to think about this exam is I want you to think about it as a very boring game of basketball. And imagine that you and I are going out to the court and we're going to take 170 shots. And any shot that we take counts as 1 point. Okay. And I pretend I put an X on the floor and there's 3 spots that we're going to actually shoot from. Imagine we're going to take a layup, foul shot, and a 3-pointer. You don't have to be a basketball pro to know this, but hopefully you know enough that a layup is very close to the basket, very easy to make. A free throw is still pretty close to the basket and pretty easy to make. And then we have the 3-pointers, which are obviously our highest difficulty shot. This is where most CFP study strategies go out the window, is they're emphasizing you getting really good at that 3-point shot and forgetting about all your layups and your free throws. So let's reframe this. And this is something that I call my 20-60-20 rule. First, we need to understand where your shots are going to come from before we even put a strategy together. So let's understand that 20%, the 20 of my 20-60-20 rule, are going to be layups. They're going to come from right underneath the basket. 60% of your shots are going to come from the foul line, and 20% are going to come from the 3-point line. So let's start with that 20%. That 20%, your layups, since they're so close to the basket, these are ones that we want to get right. We want to get right all the time. We don't need to be perfect, but we need to be at a 90% level here. So if there's 35 questions that are really, really easy, we want to get about 31 of those correct. Now remember, our goal for the exam is to get 120 out of 170 shots. 120 out of 170. All right, now we put 31 into the bank. And guess what? Didn't take that much effort. These are things that come from your flashcards. These are memorization items. These are your easy time value of money. This is stuff that you look at the exam, and if you haven't reviewed it enough, you're sitting there going, are they trying to trick me? And most of the time the answer is no, they're just really easy questions. Let's take those 31 questions. Let's put them in our back pocket. Let's make that the easiest part of the exam. You are getting a lot of bang for the buck. Every time you repeat that, you are probably giving yourself a lot of points. Now, let's move to the second type of shot, which is the free throw. 60% of the exam, or 100 questions. Okay, now, do I have to be a pro? Do I have to get all of these right? You do not, but you do need to get 80% of these correct. Now, what's involved in here? What's involved is medium level questions, things that take one step to solve, maybe two, but primarily are 1 to 2 step questions. You still have quite a bit of these questions coming just directly from your flashcards, but some of these are basic problem solving and basic application questions. Things that with enough repetition, you're going to start to get right. So now we have 80% of our exam that I can use my flashcards for, that I can do basic application for, that I can do basic problem solving. And if you are able to score a 90 on the easy and an 80 on the medium, you're almost passing this exam. That's the beauty of this. That's how we make the time that you're studying for this exam really, really effective and efficient, and you don't have to be miserable or burn out throughout this process. Now, the last part, that 3-pointer, that's 20% of your exam. I don't need you to be Steph Curry. What I do need you to be able to do is make 1 out of every 2, 50%. If you are able to do that, 90% on the easy, 80% on the medium, and 50% on the hard, you have passed this exam with flying colors, and you didn't need this overcomplicated study strategy to get there, nor did you burn a ton of extra hours learning a whole bunch of stuff that wasn't even tested on the exam. This 20-60-20 framework is the core of what I do with my students, and we have found that when students start implementing this, they focus on all the right stuff, and they're coming back and going, thank God you made us put all that time into note cards, because it absolutely got me through the exam, and it was worth every minute that I put into it. This is what I call high ROI study. Ideally, we don't want to be putting a lot of time into places where you're not getting a whole lot out of it, especially because most of you are working, most of you are busy, most of you have careers and families. That's not exactly where we want to be. So if you're at this point and you're going, Joe, this is wonderful. I get this. This is cool. I definitely want to focus on those easy and medium questions and not necessarily burn a whole lot of time, but you're not really sure how to implement this, or you want to get some extra information or learn how we do this with our students in our classes. I'm going to put a link underneath this video. Just click on that link, pick a time and date. You and I will sit down. We'll go through how you're studying and how we can make your study plan much more effective and much more efficient. So remember, don't be the person that's sitting out there on the 3-point line, just chucking up shots, hoping that they go in. Be the person that's a maniac about drilling all your layups, drilling your free throws. It's a much easier way to go about this exam. It's a lot less stressful. It's just more enjoyable. You don't have to kill yourself to actually get the result that you're looking for. And ideally, I think we all want to study smarter and not harder. So my name is Joe Nissim. This YouTube channel is called CFP Exam Prep. If you like this video, please make sure to subscribe to this channel and to like this video. And let's go ahead and make that next attempt that you take on this exam be your absolute last. See you guys next time. Hope you enjoyed this video.